Sorry, dinner overran.
What did you have?
Corn lamb chops.
Whoa.
My wife decided to go veggie last November, and so at home I'm along for the ride because it's not too bad. We've been eating a lot more varied meals since it's happened. But when I go out for pub lunches or dinners out, that's when the meat happens.
Are you okay with that? I mean,
Yeah. I've drawn the line at veganism because that way
Right.
we lose cheese. Well, at that point, and that's a step too far.
do you want to hear my gag about vegans?
Go on.
How do you know someone's vegan?
Go on.
Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Nice.
and Leon, so any chance of you going vegetarian anytime soon?
My God, no. I think my diet is like 80% meat.
Really?
No way I'm going vegetarian. I just like eating meat. I mean, I can kind of sympathise with the whole, oh no, I killed an animal and oh, the animals are dying and stuff. But circle of life, man.
Right.
It's just the way it is. It's just I do kind of believe that people should probably or part of me thinks there should be like a test, like when you get to like 16 or 18, they're like, right, so you've been having a free ride up until now. We're going to take you to the slaughterhouse. If you would like to continue eating this meat, you need to kill a pig.
Right.
Just so you know that this is what goes on. This is why you get to eat your lovely bacon in the morning. You have to experience this, and if you're cool with eating meat after that, you go for it. I kind of we're very disconnected from our food, which is possibly a problem, but I don't have a problem with that. I'd be chopping the pig's head off straight away. Fine.
So I have actually worked in a chicken factory.
What?
Really?
Yeah. It was my first ever job. I was 16 years old, I think. It was the summer holidays, and my parents lived up in Norfolk, so there's a fair few chicken factories up that way. And yeah, I lasted 2 shifts.
Wow.
What were you doing?
Was it
just the sights you saw?
It was just pretty great. But I tell you what, I didn't actually the work. It wasn't so much the work that bothered me. I mean, it was like 12-hour shifts, which at 16 it was a massive shock, like my first ever job, and I was plucking them and gutting them, which was pretty intense. But in the factory, you're on this line, and you can see the birds coming in strung up, and they go through a machine, and there's a kind of and they come out the other side of the machine pretty limp, and they go into another machine, which makes a sort of squelching sound, and then they reach you with all of their guts and bits sort of hanging outside of themselves.
Fantastic.
And you just need to help it on its way, separate the livers from the entrails, and drop them in different trays, and away you go. But obviously they're still warm at this point, which is a bit weird at first. And of course it makes the room sort of quite steamy and hazy, you know, just a bit weird and dreamlike, which is kind of not pleasant either. And if you pull at the guts in the wrong way, you kind of spill bile and shit all over yourself, or worse, the guy next to you, which they really, really don't like. And yeah, I kind of woke up next morning. I said to my mum, I really don't think it's for me.
They must get that a lot though, because it must be the kind of job where if you can survive a week, then you're probably there for years. But you know after the first shift whether you want to come back or not.
Exactly. It was basically a combination of university students and lifers, and then me. I don't think they ever anticipate someone as young as me would come along, but I just got it through an employment agency. But yeah, it was an eye-opener. It was definitely an eye-opener.
Could you not eat chicken for a while after that?
I got home that night and I said, Mum, I haven't eaten all day. What you got for me? Chicken pasta.
Nice.
Hello and welcome. This is a games podcast. We're sadly missing Mark this month, fellas.
Is this the first time we've ever done without him?
I think it's certainly the first time I've ever podcasted without Mark.
I feel slightly lost without his presence.
Well, I'm not sentimental, so I don't care. I just thought it was worth raising.
Definitely.
No, of course I do miss him. Big hello to Mark, wherever he is. Deepest, darkest Devon, we think.
Oh, that's it. No internet.
Yeah, there with his 3G connection.
I thought he just said he didn't have a mic.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Rest in peace either way.
Welcome to the podcast. If you're a regular listener to the podcast, you will know that every month we play a game. The winner of said game, and you could join in with us, listener, actually, gets introduced last. The loser of the game gets introduced first. This month we were playing, remind me of the name, Leon?
Flash Revolution.
Flash Revolution.
No copyright infringement here at all.
Skirting around it tastefully, sir.
So if you've ever played Dance Revolution, you'll kind of know the vibe of this game. It's all browser based. It's great fun. What's the URL, Leon?
I believe it's flashrevolution.com off the top of my head. Yes, it is.
Tons of songs on there. It's all keyboard based. You don't get to jump on your keyboard, unfortunately. Although I suppose you probably could if you wanted to.
Yeah, and if you've got lots of spare keyboards.
Sense a wild ass mod coming for that. That sounds good.
Or maybe you're just a disgruntled employee and you could go around and just trash every single keyboard in the office with this game. So anyway, the scores are in. What was the song that we played?
It was called Free Space FFR Edit. It's the first one when you load up the site, pretty much. I feel like it's like the default one. It's kind of easy, but it gives you a sense of what's going on.
So if you want to compete against us, listener, that's the one you're after. So the scores are in. Joining me, as always, it's me, of course, with 50,000.
Unlucky there.
I enjoyed this, though, and I feel like I've got more in the locker, but we had to start the podcast, and that's my story. Anyway.
It was another one of these games where everyone goes silent for 5 minutes trying to cram in a high score right at the last second.
High pressure situation.
Well, coming in second with a score of 77,000.
Oh, God damn it, Thomas.
375 is Leon Matthews.
I chose a rhythm-based game as well. This is my shit. Like, I do rhythm-based games.
You even sprung it on us last minute to give us the shortest amount of time to practice.
And that, of course, means that our winner and champion this month is James Thomas. Hello, James.
Hello, how are we doing?
What did he get?
Good. He got 90,900.
Ugh. Disgusting.
Pretty juicy.
Where's the camaraderie then? That's supposed to be a good handshake. Well done. GG. Move on.
No, I'm like, what's his face who lost the tennis? Oh, no, he won in the end. Djokovic, when he lost his set and he was like banging his tennis racket on his shoe. That's me.
You're just smacking your keyboard against your foot.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think I have been cheating. I have been playing Crypt of the Necrodancer this week. So a lot of rhythm action, RPG, rogueliking. So
sounds a lot of fun. I want to check it out. What platform are you playing this on?
That's on Steam at the moment. But it was a while ago. I was looking for something to replace. Well, not replace. Just fill that gap that Rock Band has left, because it's not always space for plastic instruments in the living room. So I thought I'd check it out. And yeah, it's a bizarre little twist. Played it in early access about a year ago when it was just a first level demo. But it's intriguing. It's like a top-down dungeon crawler, and you can only move on the beat. So you've really got to time and get into it. And each level has got different songs, different tempos. So as you go into the dungeon, it gets faster and faster. But the best thing is, you get to replace the songs with your own MP3 collection if you want.
Ooh,
so if you want a real challenge, you could have some proper hardcore techno. Or, as I did, much amusement to my friends in the office, I played it along to the Glee soundtrack.
Respect fading.
Very good. What would you play it to, Leon?
What would I play it to? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'd probably play it to something ridiculously fast and hard. I don't know.
You quite like heavy metal, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd throw into it though. I'd like to say Metallica, but it's a bit old. And
what's the one that's usually at the end of Guitar Hero? Is it Dragon?
Oh, Dragon Force through the fire and
Dragon
flames.
Force, yes.
Throw that at it. Yeah, that
keyboard
would be
a smoking mess by the end of it.
Yeah. It's funny that you mention Rock Band, because my studio is on an industrial estate here, and there's just randomly a pair of Rock Band drums just sat outside a car garage just around the corner.
They've just been abandoned.
Commercial garage. They seem to have been abandoned. Yeah.
Snap
I tell you
those
what,
puppies
I'll see if I can get a picture, and then that way that can be the podcast poster frame this month. That's if they're there. It'll be dark by the time I leave, but if they're there in the morning, I'll definitely.
How long have they been there?
Literally, just there today. So I don't know whether they've been there all weekend or. It is odd. I'm not going to lie.
New Rock Band coming this year. Peripherals are compatible. That's a free set of drums right there, my friend.
Save yourself 20 quid.
Yeah.
I might go and snap them up. So, guys, after E3, I nearly went out and bought myself a console.
Oh, which way did you almost go?
I almost went to an Xbox One.
Come on. And
Went
why
very,
not?
very close. And I almost dropped you a message, Leon, yesterday, or maybe it was Friday, just to say, look, I'm going to go for this. What's the game I should pick up? You know me. You know what I used to play. What should I get? And I had a big change of heart.
I thought you were going to say, like, you know, when like a recovering alcoholic phones his sponsor. It's like, listen, man, I'm here and I'm at the till and I've got my card.
Sort me down.
I just don't know what I'm doing right now.
I guess it could have been, could very much have been like that. Yes.
What stopped you?
Do you know what stopped me? I've been reading the forum a lot, as I always do.
Yep.
And I'm very excited about OLED TVs, 4K OLED TVs specifically.
Okay.
And I think by the end of the year, there could be lots of interesting things happening.
Will they be cheap enough? But anyway, continue.
I don't know. Well, I'm saving up. I'd say it's not going to be a small purchase when it happens.
Yep.
But I suddenly thought to myself, do I really want a game in 980.3p or whatever it is?
I don't know why I didn't see this entire conversation bookending round to 900p Xbox, but you snuck it up on me. Thanks for that.
You
So
do realise the PlayStation isn't going to do 4K either. None of them are doing 4K.
So basically, I came to the conclusion I'm going to build a new PC. It's going to be 4K ready. And that also is going to be incredibly expensive, so I need to start saving up from now.
Wow. The graphics card alone is going to be more than a console.
Which one of them? Exactly.
Yeah. I only get into touch with graphics cards about once every 3 years when I need to have an upgrade. Until then, it's just numbers and letters for most of the other times.
Yeah, no, so basically the crux of what I'm saying is I think it's going to have to be a 2 graphics card system.
Oh, dear
to
God.
keep up. Yeah. So that I'm planning that. I started looking at cases again and getting back into the PC stuff. I'm actually supposed to be a moderator on the PC Gaming Forum, but I apologise to the other moderators. I don't work anywhere near as hard as they do. But I'm starting to get back into the groove and seeing what people are playing and blah, blah, blah.
So what game have you got targeted for 4K? What is the one that is going to push over the edge? Be that first one that you run in with max settings enabled?
I think it's going to be Fallout 4.
Is that really the best use of 4K?
It's going to be 4K worth of brown. It's going to be good, though. Content over colours.
Yeah, I think, look, it's kind of, I'm going to do it because I can do it. And I dare say that on a lot of games, I might end up just dropping to... I'm trying to think what 16:9 is. I think 1440p is like a 16:9 res, but it's somewhere between the two, basically. And I sort of happy medium between performance and quality.
Do you realise that, unfortunately, PC games these days are just not the fantastic ports they used to be?
Well, I have been keeping up with Batman.
That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of games are broken, but
did you see Niall couldn't even give away his copy of Batman?
Is that still?
I think it has since gone, but there were no takers.
Yeah,
no
it's
takers.
not great, and it's not the first, obviously. And it won't be the
Withdrawn
last.
from sale, wasn't it? We kind of got into our first story. Withdrawn from sale, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think they tried to battle through for about a week, wasn't it, before they actually yoinked it. But I think this is the first big victory for Steam's refund policy. I think we always knew there was going to be one big game that would collapse in a crumbled heap not too long after launch. But
I
think
felt like I wanted to say that the timing all seemed a bit too perfect, with Steam announcing it 1 month and then literally the next this happening. But if it hadn't have been this game, there's plenty of others that could have fallen into this trap, so to speak, or fallen foul of this. I think it just goes to show how often it was happening.
Yeah, I think beforehand, it was Warner Brothers again with Mortal Kombat the month or two beforehand. That PC version took good couple of weeks, good couple of patches to try and get back up to speed. And has Assassin's Creed come out yet on PC?
Well, Unity was messed up. That's where the whole no face bug came from, was a few PC builds. I mean, it was broken in general, but the PC had the worst of it.
Yeah, it's at times like this you have to really respect people like Rockstar, who are adamant that they're going to keep the PC version back to make it as good as can be, make it the best version possible, rather than just trying to throw it out day and date just to try and cash in as soon as possible.
Yeah, they must really be taking their time with Red Dead.
You're still hoping for that? Give up, mate.
It's half tongue in cheek, half hope. Yeah.
But Xbox One backwards compatibility, Red Dead could come back.
That's true. It's always been a bit too desolate for my gaming taste, anyway. But
Where is he, Ben?
so what's the yeah, we do miss Ben. What's the current state then of the game? It's still withdrawn from retail. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. Warner Brothers have gone on record saying they're trying to fix it as fast as possible, but I think they're now just trying to keep their heads down and sort it out. But
tell me about the controversy, because there's been some accusations levelled their way.
Well, I'm not 100% sure of the accusations, because I don't want to... You can go... Depending on which comments thread you go into, there's a lot of accusations being thrown around. But from what I've read, I couldn't quite believe at the mismatch between the standards. Because I haven't actually played Batman, but I think someone said like it's permanently at night and it's permanently raining. But on the PC version, they pretty much turned off the rain, I think, just to try and get a slight performance increase. There's massive sections of it either downgraded or just completely turned off to try and get it running at speed, getting to running at any quality at all. So someone somewhere must have tried to shake their manager by the neck and going, this is not up to scratch. This is completely different. We're going to get absolutely vilified when it's... Just like drawn and quartered.
While we've got you here, let's talk a little bit about quality control on video games, because the average Joe public is not going to understand it or probably even have heard of that term. But of course, with anything, with a movie, with a book gets proofread, a movie gets quality control by various different eagle-eyed people that are looking for mistakes and problems or technical faults. And it's no different with video games, right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, the project I've been working on has been going since last year, and pretty much since the word go, we've had testers on it just trying to get it as stable as possible, because you want to try and find bugs as soon as you can. And throughout the entire process, they ramp up. So we've got an avid band, even to this moment, sort of testing away, trying to eke it out to be as smooth as possible, find all the kinks in the surface. And they let you know if it's not working, if there's problems in it. I mean, there's different levels of bugs, and you can try and you try and fix as many as you can, and you try and make it as best as you can. But when the actual quality is so diminished, I think there's got to be questions asked beyond the QA department there, because the developers, the managers, someone must have looked at it and went, this isn't quite up to scratch compared to the console versions.
I mean, a couple of things have leapt out at me from what I've read. I don't know whether this is true or not true, but apparently the game was only tested in 720p for the PC version.
Wow.
Which seems like a massive, massive oversight. And I'm not really sure why someone would sort of wantingly do that. No, that sounds like bizarre connotations to me. I mean, we've just had that PC discussion now about you and your 4K telly, and you have over 1080p. No one in their right mind runs a PC at 720p. This seems like they were always trying to justify it to themselves. Like, well, if you set it to this setting with these quality bars, it works. Anything else is a bonus at that point. But just out of interest as well, while we're on the subject, the guys at Quality Test at your place, are they temps? Are they full-time staff? Have you got a constant crew of testers there? We've
got it's probably fair to say that Microsoft has got a constant group, and they go to different projects as they see fit. So they're not necessarily from Rare itself, but they are full-time testers. This is their job. This is their profession. Because I think gone are the days where you just get any old Joe in off the streets. It's become a proper work schedule. You get given what you're doing for the day. You're running through this area. You're running through this testing pattern. It's not like you're just going to get amateurs just trying to play the game for fun. These people know what they're doing and know how to break games as well.
It's fascinating, because I suppose if you were to stop someone and tell them that a job exists where you just test video games, someone would say that that's a dream job.
I've often said this to some of our testers, and they look at me with 1,000-yard stares going, if you want to play the same section over and over again for 6 months, then you'll feel free. I
wonder what urges them to do it. I wonder if it has ruined video games for them. Although, I mean, I guess they're only focusing on a certain group or manufacturer, in your case, Rare's games. So I guess they could still be excited about some new release or something else.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, a few of our guys, they're absolutely avid gamers. I mean, there's a few of them who just treat it as a job and then go home and have different hobbies in the evening. But there's a few who, like, as soon as they get home, they're onto World of Warcraft, or as soon as they get home, they're onto like Call of Duty or Evolve or something. So they are massive gaming fans. They just know how to separate the 9 to 5 from the rest of it all.
Yeah, just to round off on Batman. So the game's been pulled from Steam. Have they given an update when it's likely to come back, or?
I think they're playing it safe now. I think they're basically doing that sort of, it'll be ready when it's ready. Because I think the worst thing they can do now is promise something and it not to turn up, or turn up and it's half-arsed. If they've got enough damage on that brand, they need to make sure whatever they put out is as high a quality bar as they can make.
But I must say, anyone who's played it on consoles has told me that it's brilliant. So, is there a review coming, guys? Is anyone covering it?
Mark just finished his review.
Okay.
It went live today,
cool.
actually.
There you go. So, listener, if you're interested to read how the game is on consoles, because I'm sure Mark would have played it on the consoles.
He played it on Xbox One.
There you go. Check out his review. Should we talk about No Man's Sky? Has anyone watched this 18-minute clip?
I did not manage to.
I have watched it all.
So, have they? Who's put this clip out? Is this come from the developers?
It's like IGN does this whole IGN First thing where they look at a game in depth for like a month or so, and it was the guy Sean from Hello Games sitting down and just sitting there with them for like 20 minutes and just going through and landing on a planet and doing some moment-to-moment gameplay with them. You know, I'm guessing to basically combat this, what is the game talk that's been going on for quite a while, because every time they do a trailer it's just, I can do anything, I can go to this planet, I can land in atmosphere, out atmosphere, and you don't really get a sense of the moment-to-moment gameplay, if you will.
And you could always tell that from his presentation at E3. I think you could see on his face that he was getting a bit sick of just saying the same things over and over, going like, you can explore planets, it's wonderful, variation. There was always that joyous moment where we go, look guys, combat, we have combat here, combat, you can stop asking, combat.
The combat felt really... It was almost like there was a meeting within No Man's Sky. It was almost like the Mirror's Edge guys. There was a meeting at some point. It was like, do we want guns? Do we not want guns? I feel like they had that meeting in No Man's Sky, and they're like, look, there's too many people asking for it. We have to, at some point, pull a gun up on the screen and do something. Because it didn't really feel... I don't know. Obviously, I didn't play it, so when you look at it, it doesn't look very tactile to me, the shooting of things, and he's shooting a few animals, and the gun mines like rocks and elements and stuff as well, and you shoot some of these sentinels which come in. If you mess with a planet too much, the sentinels will come around and try and take you out, and it all just seemed a little bit fluffy and no weight to it, if you will. So I mean, I don't know, you guys haven't seen the footage yet, or?
I've got it playing in the background here. I must say I'm not overly convinced that one extreme to the other in terms of marketing this game is the best foot forward. I didn't really need to see like 18 minutes of it. I just wanted to see a bit more variation in, how it's shown off, maybe a different trailer of some sort. Just it's a big ask for me to sit and watch 18 minutes, although I quite like the format of this, the way they're sort of sitting and playing this and talking about it.
But I mean, now you've watched it all, how would you describe it to someone coming fresh to No Man's Sky? What is the draw that you can see for No Man's Sky?
This is kind of why I wanted to talk about it, because I mean, on the show previously we've said that we were all like super happy with it, and I think it was at E3 or just some of the showing when it first got announced, we were in love with it. And I don't know if I've cooled, but my perspective might be different now because I've been playing Elite as well, and those two games are very, very similar. They're coming at the same, not problem, but sort of design aspects in two different ways. Like Elite is very realistic, when you say realistic in inverted commas sort of thing, whereas No Man's Sky, is colourful. It's all, the table of elements is fantastically weird and stuff, and it's clearly an alien world. Whereas Elite is trying to put you in our universe, and it's doing a lot of stuff with real science and real planets. And
haven't we had this conversation before? It's Deep Impact to Armageddon.
Yeah.
And it's Dante's Peak to that whatever the other movie was.
Yeah, it really is. They're two sides of the same coin. But as far as No Man's Sky goes, I don't know. I'm not sure whether I've called on it or I'm now just fulfilling that part of me with Elite. So now No Man's Sky has lost a bit of its shine for me.
Sure.
I think a lot of people. The problem with the trailers is everybody's like, it's like you're waiting for the beat to drop with No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
It's like you're up. You're like, this is great. When's it gonna hit me? When's the No Man's Sky goodness gonna hit me? But it's never gonna hit you. It's like Elite. I'm not saying Elite's better. That it's the same. It's never gonna hit you. You have to just be content to be in this world and be a space truck driver.
I wonder if it's going to suffer though, because all this is going along. Because if we look back at see how Minecraft came about, Minecraft almost evolved. It was this almost experimental little open world thing that started very, very small and just grew through word of mouth. Whereas this has had all the coverage, all the conference time thrown at it, and there's that weight of expectation just sitting on it. Whereas you think if they'd have just released it as, I don't know, the early access, the beta, the alpha or something, and just grown organically, it might have served itself better, because there would have been, I guess no one would have been expecting anything, but the fact that Sony keep putting their weight behind it, the fact it keeps appearing on, IGN seem to be doing a lot on this, I think, over the course of the last year. I almost feel that it's like, yes, look at the world. Right. We've got our player base on it now. What do they want? How are they using this world? How can we grow it?
Yeah.
The fact they're trying to put it all together from the word go makes me worry slightly. I guess another comparison is almost back to the early open world days, when, you know, the technical marvel of just simply having an open city that you could drive or run around in was enough for most people. And we've gone beyond just a city, or, you know, Arkham's 3 islands, or, you know, even GTA's mass area. And now we've gone from a planet to a solar system to a universe. And the problem with all these open world areas is, how do you fill it? And looking at strange dinosaurs will keep me going for a certain amount of time, but it's not going to last forever.
Do you know what's a very interesting idea? Are you saying that potentially someone like Notch, for example, let's say Minecraft may never have been as big a franchise or as important as it is now if it hadn't just been out there and he got feedback and be able to make changes week by week and put new builds out there?
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
a legitimate development process, I guess. It makes total sense. Yeah,
and I think the success of Minecraft is what's pretty much spawned the mass access to early access, and why everyone wants in it, because it's not only the fact that you get an injection of cash early on, but you also, going back to our conversation on testers, you get a lot more testers on it, you get more feedback, and, you know, not everyone's suggestion is going to be correct or the way the game should go. But the more people you can get playing there and maybe feeding into the community or seeing how the community interacts, that is absolute gold for games like these that just live and die on the interactions of the players.
I think it's weird though, because their name drop in Minecraft a lot, because I think it's just the easiest way to explain to people some of the philosophies of the game, and it's an easy touchstone that everybody can kind of relate to. But it's not exactly like Minecraft. There's not a great deal of craft. You know, Minecraft, you go and you might never leave, you know, the X by X square that you spawn in, and you'll just spend all of your time building and collecting resources in that particular place, and it's all about what you're creating. Whereas No Man's Sky, you're not really creating anything. Okay, you're probably upgrading your ship and following an upgrade path and getting bigger and better stuff, but it's not like you can say, oh, come and have a look at what I've done in No Man's Sky. You can name stuff, and if you discover stuff, which is entirely possible, I mean, like Elite, because of the procedural generation, I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. 18 quintillion planets? I mean, what does that number even mean? It means absolutely nothing to nobody. But it does mean that you can discover stuff and name stuff in the game and that sort of stuff. But, like you say, how quickly is it going to get boring? Just like, right, go into planet, oh, look at weird planet, find stuff, leave planet, go to next planet. And you can do some trading, but I haven't really seen a great deal on the trading. The combat seems a little bit sketchy. It all just seems, I don't know if there's any depth there at the moment. That's the real question I have.
It feels like we've written this game off.
It's almost a problem of the modern era, though, where the exposure can kill a game before it's gone. If this had just been like, here at E3, look under your chairs, there's a copy, I think everyone would have gone nuts for it. But there's there were the questions about it, like, what is it, and they lasted for a year. And of course that time, you're never going to get an answer that satisfies 12 months worth of hype for it.
I think to me, it's not that I've written it off. I think it has come down to, it's the same sort of question, like conversation we can have with shooters. It's like Call of Duty, Battlefield, which one do you like? Like, one's slightly more realistic and one's more arcadey. No Man's Sky feels like an arcadey version of Elite.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, it's going to be another year probably before it's out. So will you have got your Elite fix out the way? Is that enough time? Because for me, I only play about one shooter a year for that very reason. I don't want to play shooter after shooter. So if you have your space sim, give it 12 months, would you still go for it then?
I don't know, and that's a question I can't answer, because the problem with Elite is it is the equivalent of, it's so nerdy, but I go into Elite and, you know, I do my pre-flight checklist, I take up my landing gear, you know, it's like little things, whereas, you know, I've got my landing gear up, I use my thrusters to go up, I match my rotation with the space station, I leave, I hit super flight, then I hit hypercruise, I slow down, I come in at the star, like, it's really nerdy, like, sciencey kind of realism type stuff, and then I watch a No Man's Sky video, and he's like, right, we're going to leave the planet, he presses a button, and his player just hops into the plane, and the plane takes off and is in the atmosphere, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's, I want to try more than that. Like, I want to retract my landing gear. I want to, you know, fly at a star in gravity, speed me up and fly me off past it, because the gravity pulled me in and threw me out again on a slingshot, and I didn't intend that to happen, you know? Like, I think for me, as what I'm finding is maybe I'm more of a hardcore kind of sciencey sim type of person when it comes to this sort of game. No Man's Sky is kind of not really filling any of that for me. But for other people who just want a casual get in, press buttons, fly, discover stuff, then it might be fine.
That was our monthly update on No Man's Sky.
It needs its own jingle, doesn't it?
It really does.
What do we feel like delving into next? I mean, Destiny's kind of a hot topic for you guys. I feel like I should just throw the Destiny grenade in the room and run. I'll be back in 15 minutes.
You can be the normality sort of censor on this.
Okay.
We can get your take on, like, because I doubt you've heard anything about what's happened.
I have not. I know you've started this thread. Tell us about your thread.
Okay, so first we'll give you a little bit of background, a slight Destiny history lesson, okay? So we've got Destiny. We like Destiny. It's great. It's great gameplay. Maybe there wasn't so much content. They put out 2 expansion packs, which were part of the season pass. They were, let's say, 20 quid each, okay, just for the sake of argument. Could be cheap if you bought the season pass, but anyway. New DLC called The Taken King is coming along. They've announced what was in it. There is some content in there. It might not be the most content, but there has been, the way they packaged it was a big problem. It was more expensive than the other stuff if you look at it content for content wise, and they had this collector's edition which had the base game, all the DLC that came before this, the new content, and some exclusive content which you couldn't get unless you bought this, which was everything.
Oh my goodness, I've just seen the price. What?
Yes, so and it comes down to stupid stuff like emotes and dances, which there aren't many of in the game, and people covet them. And if you were a long-time Destiny player and wanted that, you would essentially have to rebuy everything that you bought to get that. But we're quite late on this, so that's not the case anymore. Now you can just spend 20 quid, which is still ridiculous.
So 20 quid for 3 emotes, 3 new sets of colour for your armour, and a cape, pretty much. $20 for a dance, a colour, and a hat.
And you got to bear in mind, this was a response to the internet blowing up because Luke Smith from Bungie went on and was just like, listen, dude, we got you by the balls. We know you're gonna buy this. Essentially, was just, I think he was having a bit of a joke with the interviewer, but, you know, he just got taken for a ride, basically.
Oh, it's the classic thing of when you write something down, it does not have the same context as sarcasm face to face. This point, because I remember Luke Smith from his One Up days. He used to love seeing his stuff on video and on podcasts, but you can see how he could easily rub someone up the wrong way or be misconstrued when written down, because he's a personality, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. And, well, basically the internet blew up. And then they went, okay, sorry, here you go. You can buy it separately, not reduce the price. It was essentially exactly the same, except we're just not making you buy all your content again, but we're still making you pay 20 quid for basically nothing.
It was an apology with a profit for the company. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So I guess I just wanted to speak to James about that because I know you're quite into Destiny. I thankfully just didn't get addicted to it somehow. I don't know why, but
I have actually I'm clean. I'm clean of Destiny for a couple of months now.
Interesting.
It got to the point where I just caught myself and I was doing the same thing over and over again. And I think, to be honest, my feelings haven't really changed since the Game of the Year discussion way back when. I think it is a fantastic core of the game, but there's still a missed opportunity in the way that it was actually presented. But the expansion packs for me were the part that saved it because of the big quests, the big raids, the huge social gatherings that you could get around these marquee DLC pieces were absolutely fantastic. I think they made so much more than what was in the original box itself, which is why I'm even more disappointed that this DLC for 20 quid, which previously would get you a 6-man raid and a whole new load of quests, it just is taking the mickey something rotten, I feel, at this point in time. For all those players, and there's a load of people sort of work who are absolutely obsessed and dedicated to it because they find it a great social experience, just jumping on friends at night just so they can go and shoot things together. It's almost just like a lobby where you happen to have some action in the background, they can just chat. But they just seem to be taking people for a ride with this pricing.
I think they designed it that way. This is the thing. At the beginning, I think we all just thought, oh, there's not as much content as we thought. It took them a long time to build all of this, and it'll all come in the end. But I think now we're beginning to see that Destiny was designed to extract money from people. It really was. Why was it not just a subscription service? Why have they decided to go for full price game? And the numbers are, I mean, if you basically want to buy everything that Destiny has, then you spent 140 quid, is it, or 100 quid or something, base game plus 2 expansion packs plus this.
Yeah,
you're looking at 100 plus quid, which is good for the amount of content. I mean, you can do the hours I've played to pound ratio, which a lot of people like to do to make themselves feel better. I mean, I used to do that with Call of Duty, and they basically had free access to my wallet at some point when they were pumping out Modern Warfare 2 maps and stuff. Like, it was ridiculous. But this really is. It's almost like they've created a product which people really love and really want and just want to get into, and then just constantly dangle bits of content in front of them for more and more money.
I think what's made it worse, though, because it wasn't just this in isolation. This was the time. This was about the time the story broke about them putting XP upgrades and quest items on cans of Red Bull. Which, I mean, I know, like, Bungie, especially with Halo in the past, have had association with Dorito and fizzy drinks, but when you actually have quests on a fizzy drinks can, that goes a little too far.
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. I guess it's just the philosophy. It's just their players are really passionate. Like, Destiny players are super into it. If you go into the forums, people are all over that game. They absolutely love it. But at the same time, it's this really reluctant, like, oh, I don't want to give them money, but I kind of have to because there's nothing else to do in Destiny, and I really want to keep playing Destiny. It's that disconnection from the art and the creator, where, like, I dislike Orson Scott Card, but his books are kind of good, man.
It's very interesting, the split in this thread between people that feel they've got value for money, irrespective of the cynical pricing strategy.
Yeah.
People still happy to say they've got value for money just because of the amount of time that they've sunk into it.
But I can see that argument. Like, I have made that argument, and I honestly didn't create that thread to use in the podcast, but I was actually genuinely interested whether people were just fine with it. They were just, because there is a certain level of, a man on the street buys Destiny, plays it, puts more money into it, thinks, well, yeah, I've spent 100 quid, but it's my one game for the year, so I don't really care. Whereas, I've spent God knows how much money on 10 games this year. So it's all about what's relevant to you and how you want to spend your money. But this it seems so in your face, bold face cheek.
I think that might be a bit harsh on it, to be honest, because the 2 DLC packs prior to this, I think, were really good value for money. For $20, you got, or whatever the English equivalent was, because I bought the special edition early on, so I didn't notice. They actually gave you a huge chunk of content. I think the single player modes and the quests and the raids and everything else, I think they gave exactly what you wanted. This just seems like a snafu that was made because people reacted to the Luke's comments. Personally, I think it should be like $5 and be done with it. They're obviously just trying to chance their arm here with people, but this, I think, up until now it's been fine. This is the first blip in the road. that's, I think, made me really doubt about their strategy. But I'm hoping it's just because it's a knee-jerk one rather than a long thought-out plot.
I was going to say, it's also the devaluation of their old content as well, because they made... You kind of think, like, buying the season pass or buying stuff on year one, you might be making a saving or whatnot, but essentially with this, they've just gone, right, that's worth X amount now, and we're making you pay slightly more for this new content. There's no consistency to what you're getting with these packs. It really is just whatever they feel like packaging them or whatever they feel like pricing you to. Call of Duty at least got to a point where it was like $15, 3 maps. Or 15 quid, 3 maps, £5 a map. Like, you got into you knew what you were getting, and even to this day, with a Call of Duty map pack, it's 4 maps weapon. You know, it's very consistent. Whereas this, even up to it, it was like, right, are we having a strike? Are we having a raid? Is there more single player content? It's very nebulous, and I'm just not a fan. I'm very glad I didn't really get that into Destiny. I think it's a great game, like, mechanically, but I would hate to be trapped in its clutches and have this dilemma of not wanting to give them money, because I really don't want to give them money for this. I just don't want this strategy to succeed.
Can anyone be surprised, though? I mean, Activision really have been exploring these models for years and years and years. And when we knew Destiny was on its way and it was talked about this 10-year plan, was it ever going to be anything other than a cash cow?
I was quite surprised about how restrained they've been, I think, because with all the shaders and with all the armors and especially like the loot drops, you could see of a million ways of how, if they really wanted to, they could nickel and dime their users for, you know, maybe percentage drop up increases, or this new color that can only be got this way, or this new gun that can only do this. I think they've actually kept a reasonable arm's length and kept it to a traditional model of, here's a batch of DLC, here's a batch of DLC.
But isn't that the trick, though? You can't just go and do something completely wild and extreme in one go. You've got to build up to it.
So you're saying Destiny 2 is going to be the free-to-pay?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it took another step closer and they didn't even go that far with Destiny 2. It was just a slow journey towards this thing. The same way everyone says that Apple were trying to merge all of their platforms, iOS and the desktop and so on and so forth. It's all a gradual thing of this convergence. Maybe that's the same strategy here, and they know that no one would ever jump for it just like that first time of asking. It takes time to get people to come round to and ease into this new way of rinsing us for money.
I don't think there's a new way. That's the thing. I don't think they're trying to get to a subscription service. I think they've done some sums and like, this is better than a subscription service.
Yeah.
Like,
and it is. I mean, also World of Warcraft and the Star Wars subscription models, they've all kind of faded of late anyway. I don't think there's anything. Is there any game out there at the moment that's making a real good go of subscription models?
I think they all tend to last for about 6 months, then switch free to play. Just try and grab the money while they can early on, and then try and figure out a new way to.
What are the big online games right now? League of Legends, that's free to play, right?
MOBAs are doing well, aren't they?
Yeah, right. they're all free to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I'm not a fan. And this is the problem. I love Bungie. I really love the stuff that they've done in the past, obviously with Halo, and I feel like Destiny, it's just got everything that I want. I'm almost happy that there's not really much of a single player, because that really would kind of hurt me, because I love like Bungie single player and that sort of stuff. But it's just so sad. It's just I don't know, seeing the business so out front. That's not how I think of games. I know they're a business, but at least put a bit of a smokescreen in front of it.
I think time has mellowed me with Destiny. I can remember when I first quit, I was quite angry at it, how it had sucked a lot of my life away without giving me too much in return. But I think in hindsight, I enjoyed what I did with it, and all I hope is that behind the scenes you have got, in the same way that I guess ODST was created by a sub team within Bungie while everyone else went on to do Reach, I hope that there is basically a maintenance team that's looking after Destiny Part 1, and in the background they're learning all their lessons and they're putting all the complaints to bed and doing a proper Destiny 2 for release next year sometime. If they don't, that's when I'm going to be very disappointed.
Listen, if you're interested in the thread, it is on the Xbox One forums. Hop into the games forum and there's a little sub forum for Destiny. You'll find the thread in there.
Do you know how much he makes a year?
PewDiePie.
Guess how much he made last year. Take a guess.
7 million, isn't it?
7.5.
$7.5, we should say.
Yes.
Oh,
no.
it's not worth getting out of bed for.
Hang on, wasn't it? Or was it 7.5 Swedish money?
Sweet.
It's in Swedish.
Or something like that. Hold on.
Krona? Euros?
Krona. No, hold on.
I'm sure it's in dollars because it's a story that's sort of emanated out of the US, so they're going to quote it in...
Yeah, it is in dollars, you're right.
Yeah.
It's in dollars. But he makes 7.5 million a year. I think it's less, although the fact that PewDiePie makes that money is... it depends on your perspective on his content, and if you like it, then so be it. But it's more that is a number that could be made from somebody streaming video games. That is the story, I think. Like, when does the ceiling stop? How big is this going to get?
Is it more a case that PewDiePie is the ceiling? Like, this is the absolute upper limit, because there are hundreds of thousands of people trying to do Let's Plays, and most only get like a small handful of views, and you just get a few of these personalities who have made it big out of their, well, literally personality, their entertainment factor, and they've earned their success because they have proven to be an entertainer, a quality presenter that draw people to their channels.
Have you seen PewDiePie?
I haven't. No.
Oh God.
Be under no illusions. This is the new way of delivering a show. You can totally set up, get a channel going, market it, and aim to make X amount of money within a few years. If you have a strategy, you could do it for sure.
Yeah, and I think this is almost just like that first shot across the bow that people are waking up to it. There must be people within Sky, within BBC, within loads of media centres going, there's money here. We can do something with this.
Well, I make my living in video production. I have a company which has been running about 4 or 5 years, and we've been trying to surf the crest of a wave, which is this new demand for video. Everybody wants it now. Every marketing department at every company wants to have a conversation about their video strategy. And one of my big clients puts on media festivals all over the world, where they're talking directly to marketers and media people from huge big corporations, and everyone is saying the same thing. Video just drives content, it drives your brand, and they're always trying to come up with new and clever ways to get video out there. So the whole viral video craze, none of this stuff is by accident, and so many of these videos are put out there by brands or subtly involved, or sometimes they're even just happy for it to be out there without them being obviously part of it. But it all drives traffic for them. So listen, this guy's made $7 million. I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think he could go on to make loads and loads. It's all about how he grows and progresses. People are going to want to see the quality grow, and hopefully he's got the money to invest back into he has got the money to invest back into his channel now. Get some nicer cameras, maybe get some more editors involved, and you could be putting out content daily, and then that's when he starts pulling away. The more advertising revenue you're making, the more cash that's going to come back to you. So.
I wonder if this is like the next version of Penny Arcade, because I can remember reading Penny Arcade. Have they been going like almost 15 years? But it was when the two of them were doing it out of their bedroom pretty much, and it was just two gamers who were making comics. And now they've got the charity. They've got countless packs that go on all around the world. I don't know how profitable they are, but whatever they do, they are using the brand and using their money to actually turn it into either more content or more activities, more events. So whether it either creates more money or brings people more back to the site, that's a growth that I wonder if PewDiePie may not be having, the PewDiePie con next year or what have you. But it's the start of a media empire at that point in time, because he's already pulled away from YouTube, I think, hadn't he? I think he pulled away when YouTube started to impose far more restrictions. But he's a name, in the same way like Taylor Swift's a name. They could probably get stuff done. They can bring in other people. They can create their own channel that will then generate more. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a producer like Jonathan Ross in a few years' time and handling the generation of more content of other YouTubers.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about how quickly he can mature and how entrepreneurial he can be, and whether he even gets bored at it. Some people can get a check for $7 million and suddenly get very distracted, especially at the age that he is.
I want to see how he matures and how his content matures, because I think this is the problem with like this crowdfunding thing is it doesn't necessarily have to be, and I'm inverted commasing this, good to be massively successful. It kind of just has to have like a random element to it, and his videos are very weird and funny and kind of a niche kind of sense of humor that personally I don't find particularly amusing, but clearly 34 million people, however many people subscribe to his channel do.
How old? What's the average age of those 34 million people?
This is it though. I'd imagine I would say it skews low. So this is how
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good. That's how he's made his money, because he's engaged in that audience, in that niche, if we can even call it that. And I'm doing the little inverted commas thing, listener. If he is the main man for that age group, can he keep it going? Can he mature with them and grow with them, and crucially expand it to an even broader age range?
And that's what I want to see. Like, there isn't a lot of, I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of like Let's Plays and all that sort of stuff. And there are some shows which kind of appeal to me, but the big like smash hit ones, like the Pewdiepies in the top 10, generally I look at them and I think I feel old when I watch them.
Yeah.
And like this content isn't aimed at me. Although it's not that I'm not interested in it. It's just that it hasn't matured enough. Like, and it's almost like sometimes, you get, if you talk to people about gaming who don't know about gaming, that they think that it's just kids and stuff. And if you looked at this sort of thing, like I wouldn't want to show somebody who doesn't know about gaming and introduce them to gaming by showing them a Pewdiepie video.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't represent me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want it to.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of waiting for the content to catch up with my sensibilities.
How many YouTube subscriptions do you have? I'm intrigued to know. Let's see how many of us are sort of well tuned into this. And it's kind of a loaded question, because I know how many I've got.
I'll be honest, I've only got about 6 or 7. I know what I like, and I stick to those channels. But I don't watch a mass amount of telly. So I watch as much telly as I do YouTube, and it's thin. Just have something on in the background.
What does it tell you? If I go to manage subscriptions, is that going to tell me?
Yeah.
41 apparently.
41. So I've got 238.
What?
Wow, that seems like a lot to manage.
Now, I've lent into YouTube a lot. Now, it won't be a surprise, because that's how I earn my living, through video, and it's something I'm very tuned into. Not necessarily because I'm putting videos on YouTube, I'm not, but what I'm saying is I'm aware of it, and aware of it as a platform.
So how do you filter that? When you come to sit down on an evening and go, I want to see something on YouTube, which of your 240 channels do you decide to watch?
So I'm in the habit of every evening, my wife and I watch a movie or catch up on some TV shows, and then we'll go to bed, and I'll watch YouTube on my iPad, and I'll catch up on my subscriptions. And I reckon I can get through all of the ones from that day just sitting there. Not everyone's going to upload. Some of the channels are dead. They don't still have content going out every week or every day, blah, blah, blah. So I always stay on top of it, and sometimes you kind of drift off, but you don't watch every episode of Letterman or whatever, so it's not really a big deal. But some of the channels that are on there are putting really good quality stuff. There's a couple of car review channels, and I'm obviously into a lot of video cameras and stuff, so there's a lot of channels that are focusing on video production. And just the quality that you get on there now is as good as anything you'd see on television. But a lot of people keep it down to that 10-minute runtime, which is almost that sort of perfect bite-sized chunk of content. They don't have to, because YouTube's lifted the restrictions if you've got a certain amount of views or something. I don't know. But for me, it just seems like the right runtime,
And it conforms to your lifestyle. Like,
exactly.
I know there's a lot of like on-demand stuff, and you can record stuff, but this literally is, any device. I've got my phone, I've got my tablet, I'm in front of my Xbox and my TV, I'm upstairs on the Google TV, like anywhere I'm at, I can just be like, oh, hit a YouTube video, like waiting for the bus in, any time I can just hit up a YouTube video and pull it up, and that's great. It's absolutely fantastic, and I don't really watch TV anymore, so I agree with you. Like Pewdiepie I think the limit is just endless.
Yeah.
Because it's how many people are there on the planet, and how many people have an internet connection.
He's the top end guy, so he's making he's himself is making $7.5 million, and he's the top YouTuber. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
So it's not Hollywood levels of money. You know, it's not the kind of money that like someone like David Letterman, who had one of the most popular TV shows of all time in the US, he would have been on a far higher sums of money than that. So it's not like these people are suddenly, you know, big in the entertainment scene. But would you, if someone said to you, you can make an extra 20-30 grand a year just by putting out one video a week, I think you'd lean into that, no?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are kind of, you know, if they can just skim a little bit off it, then they can give up their day job, which more power to you if you think that's what you want to do. But I don't know, it's an interesting evolution of the way we're consuming this content.
It's fascinating. It is fascinating. And we haven't even touched on what the kid's like or what he does. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even watch his clips.
I do. I think you should watch, because you're going to go, oh.
I mean, I have heard stories. Don't get me wrong. I have
really
heard
are.
Stories. I'm not going into this thing blind.
Yeah, I'm queuing him up for as soon as we finish the podcast.
Yeah, you're going to regret it.
Who knows? I might even add him to my subscriptions.
Oh, you won't, trust me. But anyway.
And for those of you interested, listener, AVForums does have a YouTube channel. We don't really put out gaming content on there anymore. I used to some years ago, but it was a bit of a drain on my time. But all the podcasts go out on there. There's tons of AV stuff and TV reviews. If you're like me and looking at a 4K OLED panel for the end of the year, I highly suggest you subscribe to the channel and keep on top of what's hot and what's not.
So one of the few games I've actually managed to get to grips with this year is Splatoon. And I played it at the conventions last year, played it at Gamescom, played it at Eurogamer, and it worked really well in that environment where everyone's really looking forward to playing the game, so they're completely hyped when they pick it up, and it's colourful, it's fun, it was something different. For those of you who don't know, it's effectively an online shooter, except rather than having to kill the other players, you just have to cover the entire world in paint, and whoever's team covers the world in paint most wins. Simple. And so I thought about getting it, and when I first picked it up, it was a bit sparse, to say the least, and I was a bit fearing for its future, because it launched with like 3 maps and just 1 mode. But what they've done is actually, I think, really clever. So over the course of the last month and a half, I forget when it came out, each week they've released new guns, new modes, new maps, to the point where last weekend they actually had a Splatfest. So all the community who play it got to choose whether they preferred pop or rock. And then over the course of the weekend, those 2 teams would do battle, with the winner being declared on the Monday. Almost like the old voting stuff that the Wii had it on its dashboard, like the surveys. But you actually got to do it with paint guns this time round. But what I think is most incredible about this is it's not that they were drip feeding you and trying to charge you for it. All this content was actually already on the disc. And so they were slowly unlocking it as time went by, almost as if they knew, like going, oh, okay, after a week, we think people are going to be bored of this mode, so let's give them a new gun. Let's give them a new map to learn. Maybe that will reinvigorate things. Let's give them a new mode. And I just think it's actually a real clever way of trying to keep an online community functioning and engaged beyond that initial launch period. Because I can't imagine anyone like Call of Duty or Battlefield ever doing something like this without a $sign in front of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a proper strategy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo have never had the most head for business when it comes to online communities. So to actually see this approach was not only refreshing, but actually really surprising, because it worked on me. Usually, I mean, the last time I really played an online shooter to death was back in Halo 3 days, and since then I've probably played them for the week they've come out and then gone on to other things or got bored, has got my ass kicked time and time again. But this, I just keep wanting to go back and say, okay, let's see what this new gun does, because it's not like an M4 versus an AK-47, they're all weird and wacky and wonderful things, like paint bombs or like a fast, just a Dakar gun. But each of them have got their own little quirks, and each of them make you want to go back and just see how they mix up the formula somewhat.
I love the idea of people voting and then just splitting them off into teams. I think that's a great idea.
I think it works for the type of game Splatoon is. If it's quite different. It's not your average shooter, so it's easy to be quite overwhelmed with it, I'd imagine, when you first start in it and playing it in such a weirdly different way. But if you've only got a small sort of sliver to get to grips with, and then it kind of broadens and gets bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on, it's just easier to grasp, I would imagine.
What would you have voted, pop or rock?
Rock, obviously.
No, I was in the rock camp as well. I think
Really? I thought you might have been in pop, actually.
Bit
of Carly Rae Jepsen.
I may have been playing Crypt of the Necrodancer to Glee, but
I think I would have voted pop.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think it was a weird way. I think 3/4 of the community went rock in the end. Next weekend is sleeping versus eating.
Okay.
So you see, they're taking it very seriously.
Who won? Because I would say rock would have won pop versus rock.
Rock did, but I think it was only by a couple of percent. So like 52 to 48 or something like that.
Interesting. So. I mean, presumably sleeping versus eating should be fairly cut and dry already.
Should be eating?
I would have thought so.
No, sleeping.
We'll decide this on the battlefield.
Brilliant. Leon, is it that time of the pod where you don't even try and hide that you're playing a video game?
Shit. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to swear. Sorry.
Was it Flash? It sounds like Flash Revolution.
Can you tell? No.
I thought there was a hot trade going on in Elite.
It was F1 actually, but I'll stop. Sorry.
F1. Well.
Sorry, I just can't get away with it now, can I?
It reminds me, how's your car?
Why you got to bring it up for? You know it hasn't changed. You know it's still got a dent in the back of it from earlier. It hasn't changed.
Visiting Grandma's house, takes a little donk.
Are you just trying to make me sad again?
You reminded me when you mentioned F1.
Right, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I dented my car today. It was good times.
Wall jumped out at you, did it?
You're determined to make me relive this, aren't you? You're not going to let me let it go.
Listener, thanks for joining us on the podcast. We always appreciate you tuning in, downloading, and spending an hour of your life with us. If you have the time, please swing by iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And also, if you'd like to add any comments or feedbacks, swing by our thread, which is on the forums. I always check the comments. Maybe I'm just a bit of a narcissist.
Glutton for punishment.
But I like to pretend that it's me looking out for your feedback, positive or negative comments. We welcome them all. The guys are on the weekly podcast that comes out every Wednesday, I think. I know I ask that every month. Join Phil, Steve, Mark and Ed and other Mark and get all your movies and hardware news and banter. And we'll be back next month for the August edition. Christ.
Time flies.
Where does the year go?
We're back to Game of the Year soon.
We will be. God, yeah, that's crazy. I might even have a console or a PC by then. Who knows?
You will have an Xbox One
Maybe.
Because we will be 2 weeks away from Gears of War.
Okay, that's cat amongst pigeons. Although that is coming out on the PC though, right?
Shh.
Boom. We'll do it in 4K. Can you cross-platform co-op?
No.
I mean, I'd offer to get an Xbox One to co-op with you, but I know you'd make loads of excuses because I'd be terrible and you'd be having to come and revive me every 2 minutes and you'd get annoyed with me.
Maybe so.
I know you'd be that guy. Okay, well, massive thanks to you, Leon.
Good night.
Good luck with your car. And
Damn it!
a fist bump to James.
Thank you.
And we will catch you all next month. Hopefully have Mark back.
Yeah.
Cold.
It's actually been quite good, hasn't it? Quite good. There's been no monologues.
We miss you, Mark.
That's when the meat happens.